Hey there, YouTube. So I just finished the Benson preamp, and we had a bad pot, Tata brand pot. We had a bad switching PCB. We had two JFETs that were bad that I had to replace, and I needed to ground the chassis to the circuit because I didn't use the type of jacks that the guy who designed it used. So this has three JFETs, and each JFET has a trimmer that you adjust. And when I saw it, I thought, oh, you adjust those to 4.5 volts. No. The first one, you put a shunt from the drain of Q1 to the cathode of the current reverse polarity protection diode. Then you tack on to R2 with your meter, set it to ohms, and adjust that until you get it to 1.67K. And if you touch it, it'll jump like 1.5K. And you got to get it set at 1.67. The other two supposedly you set at 4 volts. So I had read a lot of people had goofy issues getting this one going, and noise. One guy said the release, which is my pet peeve, is when you build a dirt box and people love it, but then when you stop playing the note, it'll go, it'll like make this noise. And, I stop playing sometimes when I'm not just like. Anyway, a lot of those LM386 based circuits do that. So, and noobs won't really notice it. If you're 15 years old and that's the first thing you ever build, you're going to love it, Anyway, what I had come to understand was if you didn't have these pots set right, it would crackle and spit and make a lot of noise, and that's what I was getting. But I had a bad switching PCB. Two of the JFETs had to be replaced. Now, this board, it uses 90-degree pot that mount to the board. So if you have to take anything out, that means you have to bend that thing back and then get in there at an angle with the iron. So it's not as easy as you would think. And then not knowing if it's this process of adjusting, and when you adjust one, it throws the other two out of whack. So we had a bad switching PCB. We had a bad pot. Earlier on the cab sims, I built two cab sims this week. I had a bad jack, and then there was a piece of solder underneath the IC socket that shorted it out, that blew one of the ICs. And the other one had the same thing, but it was hidden. It was just a little splotch of solder where like a drop had fallen and went, and it had shorted out 2 points. So the troubleshooting process on these last three pedals really was a lot. Normally I can figure it out. I used to be able to build and it would just work. And then it was like someone cursed me and nothing that I build works anymore. And these last three were the worst. I don't want to say the worst. They were bad. They were really bad. And having a bunch of bad parts as well. Anyway, I got everything working. All of them are working. Both of the cab sims sound identical. The Benson preamp, it's not what I'm not going to be able to use it. I mean, it's doing something very different than anything that I have. I am going to have to try to maybe adjust it more. I think I have it set where I like it, but it's not. It's nowhere near where it's supposed to be set. But all four controls work on it, and it's a different type of distortion than breakup than anything that I have. So my initial response, I was upset and I was like, get this thing out of here, put it on Facebook Marketplace, put it on Craigslist, put it on eBay, just sell it. Because it's a $250 pedal, brand new, and I figured, if I put it up for $125, maybe I'd sell it. And just get it out of here, because it didn't really match up with my rig right now as far as what I'm going for. It didn't do it. but I've never been a fan of that tone. So yeah, I've heard a bunch of demos, and it was all like RJ Ronquillo, Pete Thorne, like these types of demos where these guys are such unbelievable great players with these really expensive guitars that have custom pickups and fancy tube amps. Of course, it's going to sound fantastic. So, what I'm getting at is if I was going to advise you, I would tell you don't get into pedal building at this point. Buy those cheap Chinese pedals because it's less money than what you'll pay to buy the PCB, pay the shipping on that, and then order the parts and the chassis. When that all adds up, it's like more money than what you can buy these pedals for from China. And some of them are really good. I got a Joyo American Sound. I love that thing. It's incredible. That's a great pedal. Like great, 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 great. So yeah, all that stuff's done. It's working. I'm sure I could put some time in between this and now. Because see, one thing that I need to stress is I live with chronic pain. I take powerful pain medication, and I have 2 herniated discs. So anytime I'm hunched over with a soldering iron, I pay for it. It hurts really bad to work. I work with a partner. We pre-test all the components. They're tested just before we install them to eliminate margin for error. So when there's stupid shit like on one pedal, a bad pot, a bad switching PCB, 2 bad JFETs, and whatever else, and then the other one, bad jack. We had a bad jack. Piece of solder fell underneath the thing and I couldn't see it. This is the type of stuff that's going to take the fun. People are going to go, oh, chill, Petey. You're not supposed to come on YouTube and be negative. Well, I just got to tell you, when I look and see that there are like good pedals coming out of China for this low prices, and then seeing what I have to go through, a guy like me who, I did my first amp build when I was 15. Maybe I was 16, but I built the Gemini amp from Pi. I built later on I built the ring modulator. I was soldering and modifying and doing this stuff all along, and then when I got hurt in 2007, 2008, I really got serious, and I've done a real lot of work, and I've built a real lot of pedals, a ridiculous amount. And I experimented with it even more, where I built stuff that I felt when I built the circuit it wasn't even worth boxing up. I just built it for fun, and if it's good, I'll box it up and use it. Well, if you added up all the time or all the circuits I've done, and then I'm telling you here, like, don't do it. I'm really at a low point. That's the takeaway here. So anyway, yeah, I probably won't be using the Benson. I'll keep it. I can mess with tuning it, and if I want to sell it, maybe I'll sell it. But I more than likely am going to keep it. So let's hop over. I didn't want to spend too much on the negative. I found this site today called Motronics. They have a Dodd 250. They have a Llama. See, this one here is... Are you guys able to see this, or am I... Okay, yeah, I think you can't see it. This one here is a SMT, and this one here is through-hole. Look at that. So this place, the downside of it is the shipping. The shipping it's from Israel, so for some reason it's really expensive. But he's got a lot of headphone amplifiers. Here's a guitar preamp, speaker protection. Active crossover. He's got a lot of really cool stuff. So I thought maybe my buddy Dave, you might get a kick out of taking a look. See, here's a red llama. They got a gray spec. Someone else is selling a gray spec Dodd 250 for like 20. It's like 16 and 5 or something. So anyway, the Benson preamp, that's this thing. Check out some of the demos of it. And it's a very different sounding pedal. I had thought it was going to be really Fenderish, but it's kind of not. It's kind of its own thing. And I had to ground the chassis, and then it hushed up real quick when I grounded that chassis. So, and I've never had to do that on a. Oh, you know what? Maybe I have. I'd have to think. I think I did on some other JFET build that was misbehaving. I really hate working with JFETs. I really do. They're just a pain in the ass. I'd so much rather build something with an integrated circuit. So I got one of these coming, the distortion, overdrive, delay, and reverb. The reverb is a spring reverb simulation. It's a pedal called the Moleco Omnicron or Moleco Spring Reverb, and this company Mosky, or do you say Moskin? Moskin? Uh, they built this reverb pedal. It's like $35 and people love it. People say it's kind of spring reverbery, but it doesn't drip. But it's just a great reverb. And it's like 35, and this was 50. This comes with a Sir Riot, which is a high gain distortion that people generally love. The overdrive is the analog man king of tone that has a little bit more extra drive, they claim. Then there's a send and return, so I'm going to be running this send to my Flamma amp sim. And I just built a pair of these Omni cab sims. My old lady may end up with one of those for her outdoor rig. We shall see. She's using like a digital cab sim right now. But this particular cab sim is supposed to really shine for bass guitar. So, and I built two of them. So one of them is going to be paired up with the Flamma preamp, which is going to be, distortion, overdrive, then the amp with the cab sim, and then we're going to have the delay, which is the clone of a Deep Blue, a Mad Professor Deep Blue, which is a PT2399, and then this reverb. So it's a single power supply thing, supposed to be quiet. It's supposed to be these really well-known circuits for the low price of what you would pay for about one pedal. So I've got that coming, and I'm going to run that on my dry rig. So that's this really good speaker, and there's a tweeter with it for the amp sim, cab sim. Some people like that. They like that extra information that the tweeter can give you when you're dealing with an amp sim. It gives you a little more realism. Anyway, the EQ, the amplifier, is a tone bender, and that has a mid shift, which affects the low frequencies too. But it's a guitar-centric equalizer, so I can really fine-tune it, especially with the cab sim. The cab sim is a 6-knob device. The Omni cab sim is excellent. Did I show you that? Let's take a look at the Omni cab sim. I mentioned that I had built two of these. Omni cab sim. Here we go. Now they have a mini version and they have a large version. I'm clicking on the large version, even though mine doesn't have the headphone amp, the auxiliary in, the headphone out, the balanced XLR out, or the ground lift, or the through. Mine just has the input and the output. That's all it has. And then these gain, punch, mid response, resonance, cab size, and high response. So it's a flexible little device, and like I was going on and on about, the Flamma preamp is a new to me. It's about a year old maybe. It's a little modeling pedal, pretty cheap. It's like $70. It's got 7 amp models, and there's clean and dirty versions of all those. It's pretty versatile. With me adding these Sir high gain distortion and then this King of Tone overdrive, I'll be able to get a little bit more variety out of it maybe. And then, if I want to put some air around it, I like reverb and delay in tandem. I like having a little bit of reverb and a little bit of delay. I like that. Now my wet rig has a Moore Ocean machine with tap tempo switching on it. So, and then there's a volume control just for the effect, like an expression pedal. So this is going to be a versatile rig. The heart of the stereo, the wet setup is a Nuex MG300, which is a cheap but really good sounding multi-effector with an amp and a camp sim. I was going to say amp and camp sim. So that's the rig. This dry rig, it's going to be, my guitar gets split. There's a active box that just 3 jacks on it, 1 in and 2 out. And I built that. So it'll send 1 to the digital, which is the Nuex, going out to this Moore Ocean machine. And that's a pair of echo units and a reverb, all stereo, and they all have different modes. And it's just it's a dynamite pedal. It was not cheap. I got mine used. I got a great deal on it. So that's my wet rig. The dry rig, the other side of the dry rig is going to come around, going into that all-in-one, 5-in-1. And I'm going to be coming out of that effect send, so it'll be my guitar goes through a volume pedal, and then it goes to this active splitter, which is a buffer. And that sends a buffered line to the Sewer Riot and then the King of Tone overdrive. It's going to go out to the Flamma amp sim with the cab sim shut off, over to the analog cab sim, the Omni cab sim, that 6 knob pedal I showed you, and then down back into the Moskin Soul 819 or whatever it is, through a Deep Blue, which is a PT2399 delay. And I'll tell you what, people generally kind of, you can go like, it's just another PT. If you design that thing right, meaning some people will try to just use the mixing, like passive mixing coming off the chip. If you throw some op amps on there and you build it right and buffer it out like the Deep Blue, like the what was the one that I built? The Echo. Now I'm at a complete loss. The Echo Bass. The Echo Bass. I built 2 of those. And man, that PT2399 can actually sound really, really good. And I've watched enough demos for the Mo Sky reverb pedal to know what it does. So I am super excited about this rig. Already right now, the sounds that I can get out of it without any drive pedals are really spectacularly great. It really sounds good. I think if I can start gaining down on some of these amp models and then boosting them, getting the gain from the dirt boxes, that's what you do, right? So that's it. That's the end of the road for this boy. And I'm super excited about it. I'm sorry that I complained earlier in this video about all of that troubleshooting I had to do for a week. What I need to do at this time is get back to making music. There's some connection where, in order for me to be truly happy, like a kleptomaniac has to steal, heroin addict has to shoot up, I have to be writing music. If I write a song, there's a 2-week period, honeymoon period, where I feel like I'm worth something. I feel good about myself. And if I don't play the guitar, everything goes in the dirt. And it's just been oppressively hot and humid. It was a bad summer. For me, it was. My mom died. What can I say, guys? I'm dealing with chronic pain here. I'm on this medicine. The side effects are hideous. And sometimes I have a hard time, Sometimes I do. I have a tough time, and it hasn't been a good summer for me. So thank you guys for always being really positive, and I know you guys got my back. I watched those videos. I'm going to watch them again tonight. We went out and did 3 songs that I put to video: Jackrabbit Sinistar Attack, Blueberry Morning, and Your Loss. And I got to tell you, when that comes together and I'm able to edit that and upload that, it makes it all worth it. We added this thing. This was the best edition by so far. This thing. By so far. That records digitally off the board rather than the microphone. So those 3 tracks that I mentioned have the mix off the board. So if you haven't checked that out yet, you'll know what I'm talking about when you listen to it. Actually, the one song starts off with I think it's Blueberry Morning. It starts off with the room mic, and I crossfade at about 18 seconds. It switches over to the board sound, and you can hear the difference. It's just on the drum beat, but you get the idea. All right, you guys, stay cool. I apologize for not being chill and griping. This was a lot of shit. These last 3 builds. Oh, man. Anyway, take care of yourselves, and peace.